I do not agree with that section that was added to that bill. This provision was unknown to me when I voted for the bill.
Okay, next question. Next question.
I am not going to hide the truth.
There's a provision in the spending bill, the budget that was just the big, beautiful bill that they're calling it, that just passed the House and sent on to the Senate. There's a provision in this bill that gives Donald Trump, it curtails the powers of the judiciary. It allows Donald Trump effectively to ignore contempt orders from federal judges. They want this to be a dictatorship. They want to give Donald Trump that dictator on day one power. They want him to be able to run roughshod over co-equal branches of government. Even they themselves, they don't care if he takes their power for himself. The power of tariffs and trade is for the Congress, and they've just abdicated their role and given it to Donald Trump. Cowards, Republican cowards, right? So, one of these Republican cowards showed some level of strength and character, and he held a town hall. Mike Flood from Nebraska. It was a disaster for Representative Flood, I'll tell you right now. But there was one moment where a lady asked a question about this particular provision and why he voted for this provision. And his answer is shocking because he's a seated United States Congressman. He says, "Well, I didn't know that was in there," indicating he didn't read the bill that he voted for. Well, this gives you an insight into Republicans and their level of leadership. They are all followers of the cult, followers of Donald Trump. They just do what they're told when the dear leader speaks. Jump. How high, sir? How high? Right? Well, this question sparked some controversy online. This moment itself went viral, and he appeared on CNN with, I did this in an earlier video, I forgot her name, but Breonna Keeler. Jesus. He was on with Breonna Keeler trying to explain himself away to try to do some damage control, and that went equally terrible. But first, the moment in the town hall where he gets shouted down because he didn't read a bill that he signed, that he voted for, that he hopes to get signed, and it goes terrible for him. But we'll talk about some of these other elements on the other side of this clip.
Can you please tell us why you voted to approve a budget bill that includes Section 70302, which effectively prohibits federal courts from enforcing contempt orders? I only got 30 seconds. Which would then allow current and future administrations to ignore those contempt orders by removing the enforcement capabilities.
I do not agree with that section that was added to that bill. This provision was unknown to me when I voted for the bill.
Okay, next question. Next question.
I am not going to hide the truth.
That provision was unknown to me when I voted for the bill. That provision was unknown to you. He's acting as though it was added after the fact, and I hate to be the one to break it to you, Representative Flood. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. You knew it was in there when you signed the bill. And if you didn't know it was in there, that's on you. That's an abdication of your role. That is you not doing your job, not representing that passionate constituency that you stood in front of and acted as though you got bamboozled. Another member of the cult. So here, CNN, Breonna Keeler, asking this particular congressman about this moment, and I want you to pay attention to, it is remarkable, pay attention to his wiggle room, weasel word language, trying to get out of this, trying to present a situation where I wasn't aware of this provision. This thing was added to the bill. It was added before you voted, dipshit. Watch this.
According to NBC, you explained at your town hall that you didn't know the bill included a provision that would limit a judge's ability to enforce contempt orders for defying the court because you hadn't read the full bill before voting on it. Do you want to see that provision taken out in the Senate version?
Well, first of all, I will say I did review the bill, and on its face, the four sentences that were raised dealt with civil rule of civil procedure, and as it relates to the contempt powers of a court in relation to an injunction. Only after we ended up voting on the bill did Trust from the Bar Association reach out to me and say, "Hey, we need to examine this." Right now, this bill, it's in the hands of the Senate. It's ongoing. I plan to support the tax cuts. I plan to support President Trump's one big, beautiful bill. We need to get this tax relief done. Now that there's awareness about the section that I referenced, I think there will be a discussion about whether it remains in the bill.
The time for the discussion about that section of the bill was before you signed it, Mike Flood. It shouldn't take some lobbyist or special interest group to call you to say, hey, this is kind of serious. We need to talk about this before you understand. And you see him now talking out of both sides of his mouth. I want to support the big, beautiful bill. I want to do what's right to get Donald Trump's agenda passed. But also, we need to address this and have this taken out. Well, that's not support of the big, beautiful bill, dipshit. Republicans are absolutely without character, without moral authority to lead. They all just want to give Donald Trump anything that he devises in his addled, demented brain. As a cult, like a cult. Pick your metaphor or simile, either one. Anyway, what do you think? I especially want to hear from you if you are in his district, if you live in the state of Nebraska. You can comment below. That'll help the algorithm to share this content with new possible subscribers, which is fantastic because we are under assault by the algorithm or some other situation going on. I know I haven't really fully talked about it, but I'm trying to get to the bottom of it before I start pointing fingers and making accusations. But if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Support independent media that way. If you want to support independent media in a further way, if I bring you enough value to help pay for this content, you can click the join button below, become a channel member, or go to my Patreon page, patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. Follow me on social media. I'm at Dollemore just about everywhere, more active on Blue Sky than anywhere else, but at Dollemore everywhere. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.